Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Bunjo Butler. I am here today to share with you the final session of the Growing Griot Girls, the Storyteller In You program. It was a 7-week program that was sponsored by the Great Blacks in Wax Museum, co-sponsored by the Baltimore City and Youth Fund, in cooperation with the Griots Circle of Maryland and the Empowerment Academy Public Charter School. What we're going to share with you today is the end of our 7-week work session. This session introduced to these young ladies the power of storytelling. We shared with them that storytelling is the oldest form of education known to mankind. We share stories in the African oral tradition. We helped them to understand story structure, that all stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. We help them to understand the significance of the plot in the story. We help them to understand that all stories have characters, a setting. We help them to understand that a story could be shared by a person that's in the story or a person telling the story. We shared with them just what is a story. We shared with them how to do their own personal stories. We shared with them how you would approach retelling a story. And that's what's really important here. They will be retelling a story, not just sharing a story. One of the things that we were able to do with this program is help them to enhance their literacy skills, their critical thinking skills. And we did that by choosing to retell a story. What we did was to share with them 3 stories orally. Mama Deborah, Fakunle, myself, and Dr. David Fakunle each shared an individual story. We gave them that story written. We asked them to take it home. We shared with them for most of the 7 weeks on how to retell a story. That this story will not be, you won't be telling me the same story I told you. You will be telling me a story based on the plot of the story that you have chosen. This turned out to be a wonderful 7 weeks. We were blessed to have 7 wonderful young ladies to share their talents with us. They had to overcome just some small obstacles, you might think, but it's bigger than that, in that we started on September the 17th, and we're ending on October the 31st. School hadn't been open a long time. We meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So in between that, learning that which we were teaching them and doing their homework. It's a big task, but they were up to it. Again, we shared with them. They had a wonderful, wonderful time visiting the Great Blacks and Wax Museum, taking a tour of the museum. Some of our students also went on a tour to the Eastern Shore, to the Harriet Tubman Museum. They'll share that experience with you. I know that I shared with these young ladies how proud I was of them. That which they have accomplished in this small period of time is to be applauded. Today, each one of them will share with you their retelling.
Hello, my name is Carmine Turnabell, and I will be sharing my story called Talking Walmart Items. There was this young lady named Lisa. She was around 23, 25. She was shopping, she was in the cookies and cakes aisle of Walmart shopping for her daughter's 5th birthday. She was trying to get like around 6 or 7 boxes of cookies. But when she grabbed the 5th box, the cookies talked. And the cookie said, "No, put me back, don't eat me, no." So that's when she froze. She looked around and she seen this man. And this man was also in shock because he heard it too. So she asked, "Did you say it?" But the man said nothing. So she looked at the shelf behind her that had cakes on it. And that's when the cake said, "What? I ain't say it. What you looking at me for?" So that's when Lisa said, "Who you talking to?" The cake said, "You." So Lisa, she was ready to pick up the cake and throw it in the trash because she didn't like the way the cake was talking to her. So that's when the shelf talked. And the shelf said, "You better put that cake back. That cake ain't say nothing but leave it alone." So that's when she was ready to throw the cake back on the shelf. But that's when the cake talked again. It said, "You better put me down softly. You ain't finna mess up my frosting." So that's when she sat the cake down softly on top of another box of cake. So that's when the other box of cake talked, and it said, "Get this cake off of me. You're squishing my frosting." So that's when, before she could even move the cake, she ran and she bumped into Timmy, the Walmart assistant. So that's when Timmy said, "Whoa, miss, why are you running?" She said, I was in the cake and cookies aisle, and then that's when the cookies talked and it said, "Put me back because I don't want to get eaten." So that's when I looked at this man because I thought he said it, but I asked him did he say it, and he ain't say nothing, so I looked at the shelf behind me, and that's when the cake talked, and the cake said, "What you looking at me for? I ain't say it." So that's when I was ready to throw the cake in the trash because I didn't like the way it was talking to me, but that's when the shelf talked, and the shelf said, "You better put that cake back. That cake ain't do nothing but say, leave me alone." So that's when I was ready to throw the cake back on the shelf, and then the cake talked again, and the cake said, "You better put me down softly. You're not ready to mess up my frosting." So that's what I set it down softly on top of another box of cake, and the other box of cake talked, and it said, "You better get this cake off of me. You squishing my frosting." So before I could even move the cake, I ran and I bumped into you, and I'm sorry. I'm just scared. So that's when Timmy started laughing. He bust out laughing. That's when Timmy said, Miss, you must be hearing things. You know kids be doing TikToks in the aisles, so you probably hearing things. You probably hearing their TikToks." So that's when Timmy, he had this bag in his hand, and in that bag were cardboard boxes of noodles. So that's when the bag talked, and the bag said, "Bleh, ew, this cardboard tastes disgusting." So that's when Timmy dropped the bag, and Timmy and Lisa both ran. And while they was running, they bumped into Becky in the ice cream aisle. So that's when Becky said, whoa, people, why are you running? Did I hit you with the freezer door? I'm sorry if I did." So that's when Lisa said, "No, you didn't hit us. It's just when I was in the cookies and cakes aisle, the cookies talked, and they said to put it back because they didn't want to get the cookies talked. And they said, 'Put me back, I don't want to get eaten.'" So that's when I looked at this man because I thought he said it. And when I asked him he said it, he said nothing. So I looked at the shelf behind me, and then the cake talked. And the cake said, "What you looking at me for? I ain't say it." So that's when I was ready to throw the cake in the trash, and I didn't like the way it was talking to me. So that's when the shelf talked, and the shelf said, "You better put that cake down. It ain't do nothing but say, leave me alone." So then that's when I was ready to throw the cake back on the shelf. But that's when the cake talked again, and the cake said, you better put me down softly. You ain't not ready to mess up my frosting. So I sat it down softly on top of another box of cake. And the other box of cake said, you better get this cake off of me, you messing up my frosting. So before I moved the cake, I ran and I bumped into Timmy. So that's when Timmy said, yeah, and after she bumped into me, I asked her what happened. And after she told me, my bag talked, and it said, the cardboard tastes disgusting. So I dropped the bag and we ran and we bumped into you. So that's when Becky said, y'all know that stuff can't talk. Y'all probably hearing things. So after Becky said that, the ice cream in the freezer talked. And the ice cream said, it's cold in here, get me out of here. So that's when Lisa, Becky, and Timmy, all three of them ran. And while they was running, they bumped into Johnny, the cashier, while he was restocking the candy by the cash register. So that's when Johnny said, whoa. Y'all made me drop the candy. See, that's your fault. So that's when Lisa said, we're sorry. It's just when I was in the cakes and the cookies aisles, the cookies talked, and the cookie said, put me back. I don't want to get eaten. So that's when I looked at this man because I thought he said it. And when I asked him, did he say it? He said nothing. So I looked at the cakes, and the cake said, what you looking at me for? I ain't say it. So that's when I didn't like the way the cake was talking to me. So I was ready to pick up the cake and throw it in the trash. But that's when the shelf talked, and the shelf said, you better put that cake down. That cake ain't do nothing but say, leave it alone. So that's when I was ready to throw it back on the shelf. And that's when the cake talked again. And the cake said, you better put me down softly. You're not ready to mess up my frosting. So I sat it down softly on top of another box of cake. And the other box of cake talked. And it said, you better get this cake off of me. You squishing my frosting. So before I could move the cake, I ran and I bumped into Timmy. So that's when Timmy said, yeah, and after she bumped into me, I asked her what happened. And after she told me, my bag talked, and it said, ew, this cardboard tastes disgusting. So I dropped the bag and we ran and we bumped into her. So that's when Becky talked, and Becky said, yeah, and after they bumped into me, I also asked what happened. And after that, the ice cream in the freezer talked, and it said, it's cold, get me out of here. So after that, we ran and we bumped into you. So that's when Johnny said, y'all know that stuff can't talk. Timmy, you know kids be doing TikToks in the aisle, so I don't know what you doing that for. And then, miss, y'all could get kicked out for running. So that's when the candy on the shelf talked, and the candy said, we told them not to talk in front of humans. Now they know our secret. It's technically not a secret anymore, but who cares? So that's when all four of them ran, and they barged and bust into the manager's office. So that's when the manager said, whoa, why'd y'all bust into my office like that? I was doing really important work. Timmy and Johnny, y'all could get fired for that, and then you two ladies could get kicked out for that. So please explain to me why you bust into my office. So that's when Lisa said, when I was in the cookies and cakes aisles, the cookies talked, and the cookies said, put me back, I don't want to get eaten. So after that, I looked at this man, and I asked the man, did he say it? And he said nothing, so I looked at the cakes. And that's when the cake said, what you looking at me for? I ain't say it. So I didn't like the way it was talking to me, so I was ready to pick up the cake and throw it in the trash. But before I could do that, the shelf talked. And the shelf said, you better put that cake down. That cake ain't do nothing but say, leave it alone. So I was ready to throw the cake back on the shelf, but that's when the cake talked again. And the cake said, you better put me down softly. You're not ready to mess up my frosting. So I sat it down softly on top of another box of cake. And that's when the other box of cake said, you better get this cake off of me. You squishing my frosting. So after that, I ran and I bumped into Timmy. So that's when Timmy said, yeah. And after she bumped into me, I asked her what happened. And after she told me, the bag I had in my hand talked. And it said, ew, this cardboard tastes disgusting. So I dropped the bag, and we both ran, and we bumped into her. So that's when Becky said, yeah, and after they bumped into me, I also asked what happened. And after that, the ice cream in the freezer talked, and the ice cream said, "It's cold in here, get me out." So after that, all three of us ran and we bumped into Johnny. So that's when Johnny said, "Yeah," and after they bumped into me, I also asked what happened. And after they told me, the candy by the cash register talked, and it said, I told them not to talk in front of humans. Now they know our secret. It's technically not a secret anymore. So after that, we ran and we busted to your office. So that's when the manager said, "Y'all know that stuff can't talk. Those are inanimate objects. Y'all busted into my office for nothing. So get out so I can finish my work." So as the manager was walking to his desk and was ready to sit down, his chair talked, and his chair said, "You're not ready to put your stinky, dirty butt in my face again." So after that, the manager ran, and he ran out of Walmart, and he never came back. The end.
Hi everybody. My name is Anaya Hall, and I'll be telling the story of the beautiful scrunchie. Once upon a time, not long ago, in the city of Baltimore, there was this girl named Victoria. You know, Victoria didn't live in one of those nice little houses that they be having everywhere else because she didn't have that much money. So, one day, her mother, she asked her to buy some food, some clothes, and some other stuff they may need because winter was coming. So, since she knew that her mother had to work, she said, "Okay," and started walking along. As she was walking, something caught her eye. It was a beautiful, golden, with diamonds all over it scrunchie. She had saw a lot of scrunchies before, because once she had even bought a whole store full of scrunchies. But she had never seen one like this. It looked very valuable, and she thought what she could do with it. She thought of wearing it, selling it, everything. She picked it up and put it in her back pocket. And as she was walking again, she saw a little girl. The little girl was poor and lay on the street begging for change. So Victoria, she went over to the girl because she tried to give her some food, water, anything that she had. So while she was looking, she found it, the scrunchie, the beautiful golden diamond scrunchie. She said, this could do you some well. You could sell it, all of that, because it's very valuable. So she gave it to the girl and kept walking to the store. You know, she walked to the store, get the food, all that. Then, the next week, her mom asked her again, go to the store, get food, all that, because I'm tired. So, as she was walking again, she saw the girl walking right towards her. She was looking beautiful. She had a nice fur coat, had some nice high heels, and also, it looked like she had 1 million scrunchies in her purse. So, the girl walked up to her and said, "Looks like you got yourself together." She said, "Yes, I'm now a Visco girl on my own YouTube channel." So, she said, "Oh, that's great." So, she was like, "I also got a present for you." She's like, "For me? Ska." And then after that, she opened the present and saw it was a thick block of gold. She's like, Victoria's just thinking like, "I'm rich. I'm stinking rich." And like, "Thank you, ska, and I oop. We can be friends." And then she's like, of course, anybody that helped me get back on my feet. And then they ended up becoming friends and visiting each other every week. The end.
Hello, my name is Nia Freeman, and today I will be presenting the lesson. Once upon a time, there was this family of 3 who lived in an African village, a mother, a father, and a son. Today, the mother and son were going to the store. On their way to the store, there was this beautiful, grassy, full of trees field. As they walked through the grassy field, they saw an unexpected animal, a zebra with no hind legs. They felt sad for the animal, but they were also amazed by the sighting. But they had to keep going to the store. After they came from the store, they walked out with all their bags in their hand. They walked through the grassy field, and the poor animal was still there. As they walked past it, another unusual animal came too. It was a lion that was determined to eat the family. The family hurried to climb up a tall tree, and they sat on one of the branches as the lion tried to climb up as well. The family started to throw food to distract it. The lion caught every piece. They even threw some at the poor zebra, but the lion caught that too. After a while, he stopped catching the food and he placed it at the zebra's legs and ran off. As the family got down from the tree, they were amazed to see such a poor animal get a blessing such as food. So they thought in their minds, if I can take on human form, I can get a bigger blessing than an animal. So they waited there for 3 hours. In their minds, someone or something was going to come and give them their blessing. 3 hours went past and nothing or no one came. So they grabbed their bags and went home. As soon as they opened the door, the father of the house was there to greet them with tea and toast and ask them about their journey. They told him everything about the lion and the zebra and the food throwing to the tree climbing. And they told him about their wish for a bigger blessing. And all the father could do was laugh. He laughed hysterically. He laughed so hard that he fell out of his chair crying. He got up, wiped his tears, and sat back in his chair, trying to get himself back together. Then he told his family, the Creator did not want you to take on the place as the zebra. He wanted you to take on the place as the lion and then become the zebra. The family realized their mistake and threw a party for the entire village. Everyone came and was dressed so nicely. There was food galore. The mother had realized a chip bowl was empty, so she went over to it to refill it. As she looked out the house window, she realized that an elderly man was sitting on the bench outside, and he looked upset. Then the mother realized that he was so poorly dressed that he was not invited to the party. The mother acknowledged the son, and they both went out to him, bringing him a plate of food. The man was so grateful that he had some people to spend his night with other than himself. Little did the family know that the princess of the village was watching over them and gifted them greatly. The family walked away wise and grateful. The end.
Hello everyone, my name is Sanaa Whitley, and the story I will be telling you is called Good Deeds. Once upon a time, there was a thief walking down the street, and he decided to go into a subway. As he went into the subway, he noticed that the worker was in the back, so he quickly tried to steal a bag of chips. But as he picked up the chips, the wrapper crumbled, and the worker came back out and chased him out of the store. He ran and ran and ran and ran. He had finally reached the target and walked inside. He kept walking and walking and walking, and eventually he reached the toy aisle. He sat there for a good 10 minutes. As he was about to leave, he saw this wonderful sight. There was a disabled child in a wheelchair standing there with his mom. He kept on going about his day, and was just walking and walking and walking. Then he noticed that there was the local bully walking up to the child and thought to himself, wow, hopefully this child doesn't get hurt. He then noticed that the child started crying and that the mom had strolled the child away. But the bully proceeded to walk faster and faster and faster. Soon enough, the bully had reached the child and had bought the child a toy. The child had became happy and the mom thanked the bully. The man thought to himself, wow, this child really got a toy and he's disabled? I should be able to get a gift too. So he quickly went outside and sat on a nearby bench for about 30 minutes. He soon realized that nothing was coming for him. So he got up sadly and walked home. On his way home, he met this beautiful lady. So he told her his story. As he was telling her the story, the lady was just looking at him in shock. As he finished to tell the story, the lady still was in shock. And he asked her what he should have done. And the lady told him that he should have took on the role as the bully and not the disabled child.
Hello, my name is Ryan Braxton, and today I will be telling you a story called The Poor Man and Creator's Plan. Once upon a time, there was a man that lived on the street. He was poor with no money at all. People would walk past him every day and laugh because he was poor. One day, he found a cup on the side of the street and started to ask for change. A couple of hours later, this group of teenagers were walking by, and he took his cup out to ask them for change. Instead of getting change, he got a drink thrown at him, and the teenagers walked away laughing. He then wondered, why is life so cruel? What made them do that to me? And shortly after that, the man fell asleep. It was now morning, and the man woke up to the sound of change going into his cup. He said thank you, and then the other man walked away. For the next 6 hours, the man had to go through some people being nice and some people being mean. A week passed, and it was the same routine until his family walked up to him and gave him a whole meal. After he ate the meal, the mother and the father walked up to him and gave him $600 cash. He was so happy. Now 2 months passed, and the man has an apartment and a job. And ever since that day, he wanted to give back to the poor. And with that idea, he walked on the street and saw this lady and her daughter. He knew they were poor from the way they dressed. So he walked up to them and gave them money and food. The mother and the child were so grateful and happy. And the man walked away feeling good about what he just did. The end.
Hello, my name is Yashara Hall, and I will be telling a story called The Hoodie. There once lived a kind girl in an apartment. One day, her mother asked her to go to the store to get a few things for the house. She gave her a couple dollars, she grabbed her jacket, and she walked to the F&C store. When she got to the store, she started to look for the stuff they would need for the house. A few minutes went by, and she was done her shopping and ready to check out. But before she could, something caught her eye. It was an all-black hoodie with colorful moons and stars all over it, and in the middle, green caps. It said girlies. She knew she had to have it. So she checked to see how much money she had, and she had just enough. Happily, she checked out all her stuff and left. On her way home, she stopped on 21st Street when she saw something else that caught her eye. It was a dirty homeless man sitting on the sidewalk. She felt bad for the man. He looked so cold and sad. She knew she had to help him. Then she remembered the hoodie she had bought. She took it out of her bag and gave it to him. Then she said, "I hope this keeps you warm," with a smile. The man was overjoyed and thanked her kindly. Then she walked home. When she got home, she told her mother about what happened. Her mother decided that they should make a chicken box for the man. The girl thought it was a great idea. When they were finished, they went back to 21st Street to see if the homeless man was still there. When they saw that he was, They gave him the chicken box. The girl gave him the chicken box, smiled, and said, "I hope this keeps you full," and was happy to see that he had the hoodie on. The man was so happy and thanked them kindly. The man then asked whose idea it was to make the chicken box in the first place, and the girl said her mother. So the homeless man realized that the kind girl got her kindness from her mother. The end.
My name is Michael Ball, and I will be retelling this story talking out loud. Once upon a time, it was this man. He just moved into his house a couple weeks ago, so he decided to have a picnic. He grabbed his picnic basket, his favorite blanket, and his favorite book. He went out in the backyard and set up all his stuff. And as soon as you know, he grabbed a cupcake out of his picnic basket. He started eating. Well, he is ready to eat his cupcake, and the cupcake was like, "No, don't eat me!" And that's when he looked around. He looked at his favorite book, and then he looked at the picnic basket. The picnic basket said, "Who was you looking at? It was the cupcake who said it, not me." And then that's when the man was so confused. And then the man was like, "Who? You talking to me?" And then that's when the basket said, "Yes, I'm talking to you." So the man went in his house, in the kitchen, because he didn't like the way the knife was talking to him. So he grabbed the knife to rip it and chop it up. And then, so when he grabbed the knife out of the drawer said, "Put that knife down. You ain't gonna do nothing to that knife." And then that's when he was so frustrated, he was about to slam the knife down on the floor. The knife said, "You better put me down softly." And then that's when, so he was so confused, and then he decided to listen. So he put the knife on the counter so softly, like a feather. And then the counter said, "You better get that knife off of me." He was so frightened, he ran and ran and ran. He ran to the next block. So, and then he saw this gardener. The gardener was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And then that's when the man, he said, "Something crazy going on. I gotta go to the church and pray." And then that's when, so the man said, "Why won't you tell me what's going on?" And then he said, "I just moved into this house a couple weeks ago, and that's when I decided to have a picnic, and then I reached in my picnic basket, and I almost ate the cupcake, and then the cupcake said, 'No, don't eat me.' And then that's when I was so confused, and then I looked around, I looked at my favorite book, I looked at the picnic basket said, 'Why are you looking at me? It was the cupcake who said it.' And then that's when the man, it was disrespected, and then that's when, so he said, 'Who you talking to?' And then the basket said, 'I'm talking to you.' So I didn't like the way he was talking to me, so I went in the house, in the kitchen, grabbed the knife so I can chop it and rip it up, and then that's when the drawer said, 'You better put that knife down, you ain't gonna do nothing to that knife.' And then I was so frustrated, I was about to slam the knife on the ground, and then the knife said, 'You better put me down softly.' And then that's when I almost put it on the counter softly, and then the counter said, 'You better get that thing off me.' And then the man was like, 'Ah!' You crazy. And then that's when, so the gardener, he grabbed his shovel off the gate. He put the shovel in the dirt. The shovel said, 'You better get me out of this dirt.' And then the man, they ran all the way to the next block. Sooner or later, they met up with this lovely woman and her lovely son. And then she was like, 'Hey, what's going on?' And then they said, 'I was having a picnic basket,' and then that's when I grabbed my cupcake out of the picnic basket, and then the cupcake said, 'No, don't eat me.' And then that's when I looked around, was so confused because I didn't know who said it. So I looked at my favorite book, I looked at the picnic basket said, 'What you looking at? It wasn't me, it was the cupcake.' And then that's when I didn't like he was talking away to me. I said, 'Who, me?' And then that's when he was like, 'Yeah, I'm talking to you.' And then I didn't like the way he was talking to me, so I went in the house, I went in the kitchen, and then I grabbed the knife out of the drawer so I can chop it and rip it up. And then the drawer said, 'You better put that knife down, you ain't gonna do nothing to that basket.' I was so frustrated, I almost slammed the knife on the ground. And then the knife suddenly said,
You better put me down softly.
And then that's when, so I almost set it on the counter, and then the counter said, you better get that thing off of me. And I ran up with this lovely gardener. The gardener, he didn't believe my story at all. So he kept on laughing and laughing and laughing. He was like, you crazy. And then he picked the shovel off the gate, he put the shovel in the ground, and then suddenly the shovel started talking and said, you better get me out of this dirt. And then that's when, so we was so frightened, we both ran. The son was like, and then the son was like, Mommy, look, they crazy. And that's when the lady was like, honey, don't call anybody crazy. But then she said, y'all crazy. And then that's when, so they didn't believe him, so they went back to playing baseball. So the mother threw the baseball, and then the son, he hit it with the bat, and then the baseball was like, ah, as he was going away in the sky. And then, so they was all frightened. They heard it so loud that they ran all the way to the church. They finally got to the church. So they went in the church, they busted in the doors, and they went to the first row of the church. So the gardener, he decided to get some holy water in a bottle. And then that's when he grabbed the bottle, and he was so clumsy, he accidentally dropped it. And then the bottle, the water was spilling out. All the water spilled out. The bottle said, hey, fill me back up. I ain't gonna be empty. And then they was all so scared that they ran to another town. One of my favorite parts of going to the Harriet Tubman Museum was seeing the different cut up parts. You saw where she got hit with a 2-pound weight as another slave was trying to escape. That store right there, you saw where she would hide, and it was called a potato sack. It was a square in the ground, and you could lift it up, and it was like a place to keep potatoes a certain temperature. But slaves would hide down there as they were going with her through the Underground Railroad. And I liked the main building because we got to watch a film about her, which told us about her life story and stuff we didn't know, and stuff we thought was real was actually not real, was not actually not true. So we got to learn a lot about her, when who she actually saved, when she saved them, and that was one of my favorite parts.
My favorite part of the Harriet Tubman tour was when the tour guide said that we were going in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, okay. And then we actually got to explore Bucktown, where she got hit, what was going on. We also got to see where she was enslaved at. And I also liked the main museum, because we got to watch the film, and also I got to set up a statue of Harriet Tubman, and it was real fun. And we got to see a lot of cool stuff.
Harriet Tubman Museum was great. I liked everything about it. It was very interesting, informational. I liked when we went to the Underground Railroad Museum. We did a lot there. We learned a lot there. And I also liked our tour guide. He told us a lot of stuff about Harriet Tubman and about stuff that was recently found about her. And we also got to watch a film while we were at the museum. We got to go to Bucktown, where she got hit in the head. And we also got to go to a place where she used to hide out. So it was very interesting, and I enjoyed the trip.
Boy, that was just out of sight. I just have to give y'all a big hug and a big hand, because I sure enough like the way that y'all presented. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I forgot to share this, and I want y'all to know this. The reason why they were all in a different costume. Not only is it Halloween, but this is the Literacy Day at the Empowerment Academy Public Charter School. And each of the students in the school was supposed to be dressed as a character of a book that they had read and or enjoyed. The National Great Blacks in Wax Museum, the Baltimore City and Youth Fund, the Griots Circle of Maryland, really thanks the Empowerment Academy Public Charter School for allowing us this space to share, working with us to recruit young ladies. I'd like to introduce you to the two folks that were significant in that happening. Principal Moore and Miss Winston. Come on up. Again, I'd like to thank you very much for the cooperation that you have extended to us, for having the faith in us that we would work with your children and allow them to be themselves, you know. Thank you, Ms. Winston, for all that you do to help us, right? We're going to call them up now and share with them their certificates of completion. And we are going to give to them 17 community learning service hours for the effort that they put in for us. Ayana Hall. Anaya Hall.
Still after 2 years, they still don't get my name right.
Right, that's right. Come on back up here.
Come back up here. Do I forgot?
Oh.
Stand over here.
Yeah.
A potato. A potato?
Yeah.
I want the
Nia Freeman. Yeah. Sanaa Whitley. Did I get that right? That time. This one almost fooled me, but I worked on this one. Ryan Braxton. Right. Ryan. Yasara Hall.
You're
Yasara.
Thank you. Thank you.
And last but not least, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Again, I want to thank you very much for this wonderful 7-week experience, and I look forward to being able to partner again with the Empowerment Academy Public Charter School. I know that the National Great Blacks in Wax Museum the museum is very eager to have them to participate again, especially if we receive a grant again from the Baltimore City and Youth Fund. Thank you all very much.